When I answered the stranger's knock, I saw standing there in the open doorway a plump man, shaped rather like a Buddha, wearing the incongruous combination of a proper business suit, suede loafers, and a snow white turban fastened in the center with a pearl stick pin. He had an irresistible, almost childlike smile and an impeccable, gracious manner. I soon learned he was an initiated Hatha Yoga and a Zen Buddhist who had spent 30 years in a monastery in India under a vow of silence. I'd never heard of anyone being both a Hatha Yoga and a Buddhist, but then I was still very much a novice in such matters. His complexion was creamy olive, his eyes not brown but black and piercing. He apologized for the intrusion, saying that he had read my first book, Sun Signs, and some of the passages in it caused him to perceive that I was already aware of my mystical secrets, but was still questioning for more star signs of truth. And he felt that perhaps he might be able, in some small way, to guide me along the path of light. His voice had musical intonations with a pronounced British accent. Later, he told me he'd been educated at Oxford and had lived for some time in London. He offered no explanation on how he had managed to locate me, and I didn't ask, feeling that much a direct question, feeling that such a direct question was forbidden by some esoteric rule of conduct. I didn't know this, but I sensed it. Of course, I invited him to come in, curious, yet not alarmed. For the next several hours, we chatted like old friends, although there seemed to be a strange pattern to our talking. I had the impression that our speech was, in an inexplicable way, speeded up because our words were exchanged so swiftly, almost without pause, sentences tumbling over one another, and at time I could have sworn we were speaking simultaneously like a double track on a tape. I had a thousand questions for him, and each was answered no less than profoundly excited and exhilarated as I was to be learning so much in such a brief time. I felt a surge of regret when he told me he would soon have to leave because he was late for an appointment at the Griffith Park Observatory. But before we part, he added, I have a message to relay to you from the masters of karma, channeled through me by the higher forces. Oddly, such an unusual statement neither alarmed nor surprised me, but it certainly fascinated me. Message? What kind of message? I asked. About your future. There are some events ahead in time, even an astrologer as experienced as yourself cannot fully penetrate because they lie above and beyond the natal and progressed planetary configurations. And what then is ahead in time for me? Involuntary, my pulse quickened, and I felt a sudden chill. He spoke slowly and very deliberately. Soon you will be going to the mountains. The mountains? Do you mean Tibet? The Alps? Switzerland, maybe? I've always wanted to go there. He smiled enigmatically And his reply was non-committal. To, to a higher altitude for the purpose of raising your vibratory frequency and receiving several gifts of illumination from teachers who will appear without your seeking them. Without my seeking, is that not how I came to you the same? Yes, of course. Is it related then to the ancient Tibetan adage, which, which I've heard that when the student is ready, the teacher will appear? Quite. I was later to learn that was his favorite word of approval. Well, it all sounds rather spooky, I smiled to show him I was joking. But I was only half joking. There was an unreal sensation about this conversation. His next words were completely unexpected and shocking. After your retreat in the mountains, you will travel back here to California where you will meet your twin half, your twin self. Twin self? Don't you mean twin soul? No, there is an important difference in the definition of the two terms, as you will soon learn for the purpose of teaching others. Are you saying that I learn the difference while I'm in the mountains? From the teacher I'll meet there without my seeking? Partially, but you will be fully enlightened to this only after you have met the man who is the other half of yourself. Following your meeting, you will write a book about everything you will teach one another. However, you must not make it available to your readers until after you have written and published a book. You will also write about your experiences of enlightenment in the mountains, which will occur in this earth time. He waited, but I made no commitment. Then he continued. After you've met, it will become clear to both of you that your mutual mission, as written in the Akashic records, is manifold. You are to make others aware that such phenomena as magical cognition, the seeing of auras, the power to ordain happiness and erase misery, the ability to attain spontaneous remission of illnesses, and the achievement of immortality do not belong exclusively only to a few masters, but are possessed by all earthlings and many, and may be developed to as high a degree as they desire.